Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into a second intermission report. Avs versus the New York Islanders. They tie things up now, 1 apiece in the second period. So a little bit more to talk about now in the 40 minutes of play for the Colorado Avalanche. New York Islanders protecting the slot while forcing Colorado to shoot from the circles and making their ability to create a little bit challenging. And I look back at the last New York Islanders game, not only was it a tale of very different goaltending, but some self-defeating mistakes on behalf of the Colorado Avalanche. So that's a little bit the story of how the New York Islanders get on the board first. Anders Lee for his 22nd of the year. A takeaway in the neutral zone quickly becomes a giveaway and leads to an odd man rush against. Taves commits to covering Brock Nelson at the blue line, and Netjes had his attention turned to him too. Nelson saw this and intentionally set the puck wide because only Lee was there to claim it, which allowed Lee to slip into the crease unattended and put that puck 5-hole past Mackenzie Blackwood, who has otherwise been stellar in this game. Anders Lee leads the team in goals for the New York Islanders, so it is not too surprising that a great goal scorer puts the puck in the back of the net and capitalizes on an opportunity that was too good to turn up. But to the Avs' credit, I think it says a lot about who they are as a team and how they respond to that moment. And I think the momentum from the goal against inspired them to play with a little bit more energy. It starts with a strong forechecking shift from the Wood-Colton-Drury line, which leads to a Wood shot attempt. And shortly after that, you see the McKinnon wraparound attempt on Sorokin, which leads to a good shift from the top guys generally. It's Devon Taves who draws a penalty and puts them on the man advantage yet again. Some more things that I like in this power play for the Avs with a little bit of a different look now with Netjes on the top unit, kind of as the net front rover. But I like this player moving on the power play because it creates options for them. He reclaimed the puck after a face-off loss to open up this power play. A Makar shot was blocked, a McKinnon puck was stopped, and that second unit comes on. I was surprised to see Jared Bednar give a little bit of time to this second unit, but it paid off because it led to a deflection off of Parssinen, which led to a save, forced a whistle, and allowed that top unit to come back onto the ice a little bit more rested at that point, which poses a threat. And from there, good momentum again. And so I look at this Artturi Lehkonen goal, which ties things up for the Avs. And something that has maybe not been talked about enough with Martin Netjes is his zone entries. One of the things that was criticized of the previous Avs power play was the lone man Nathan MacKinnon entry method. And Netjes has added as another player who can use his speed to get up ice, but it's not just his speed. This starts below his own blue line. He moves the puck through the neutral zone, fakes out his skater, and is able to move past him, get into the zone, establish it, giving himself some time and space to decide what he wants to do next. And he finds a seam cross ice to Nathan MacKinnon in the right circle, moves the puck to the front of the net, and slips that puck across the blue paint to a falling Lehkonen to lift it in and tie this game. And it's a result that I believe they deserved based on what they did on the whole in the second period. I talked about the shots battle, especially early in the first period, and Avs came away with it by the end, but they ran away with this in the second period now, outshooting the New York Islanders 25-18 with 23 additional attempts blocked. When I talked about how New York is defending the slot well, they're trying to force Colorado to create from the circles, but Colorado is still managing to get net front chances, which also led to a huge difference then in the high danger chances that Colorado created in the second period. A far cry from even the first period where it was 6-6 apiece for both teams. Now it's looking at 5-2 just in that second period alone in out shooting the Islanders with high danger opportunities specifically. A lot of that being led by that top line again with Nathan MacKinnon, but with a little twist. It was a switch between Duran and Lehkonen that changed up the top six a little bit, and I think it makes sense. They get rewarded with a goal, and Nathan MacKinnon right now, again, a player who is possessed. He's leading the team in shots with 6 on net, but some other players stepping up into the fold too. I talk about how the team responded to the goal against in the second period. And a line that I really liked coming out of the second period is the Wood, Colton, Drury line. They were a hard forechecking line. Some pressure from Ross Colton allowed Wood to capitalize on a turnover on behalf of New York and put the puck on net. And I just think that something that has been missing when you talk about depth and how this can help, you're looking at maybe how they can contribute to the goal share, but having good depth also means better ice. You've got players who play with energy and a hard forecheck that make the ice coming on for that next line even better, right? Whether that be extended zone time, a face-off in the offensive zone, drawing a penalty, because you have players with high energy, high motors that are going to do things like draw penalties like O'Connor did earlier in this game. And so they might not always contribute by producing offensively, but they get better ice for the top line when they come on as the next line on. And I think that the top line has met that energy and that shift with good momentum of their own, because that was a hard fought goal that they had to fight for to get this game tied up. I'm going to start looking at some of the comments since it's a one-woman show today. Let's see. Emu. Really liking Drury centering the third line. Thank you so much, Vaguely Sober. That is a line that I came away with also really appreciating. I got distracted. I'm sure you guys can tell I just get excited talking about hockey, and sometimes my mind thinks quicker than my words. And I didn't even stop to appreciate Nichus and the zone entries and why that is such a significant strength of this player that addresses a need on this team, right? It's obviously a strength of Nathan MacKinnon that he's capable of doing this, but Nichus leads the league in controlled zone entries per 60 and is just above league average in every capacity when it comes to entries. And it all goes back to his strength in skating and his speed and the ability to turn on the jets, but also good IQ for the game, right? The kind of fake out move in the neutral zone to get the goal going, that Lehkonen goal in the second period, requires a pretty good way of seeing the game. And so I'm so excited to see what that's going to add in terms of options, having another player who can gain the zone. Let's see. I think Val might slot into the second line or Drouin moves to the second. I still think this top six picture has not come into complete focus, in part because we have not seen the full cast of characters at any point this year. And now with Rantanen out of the equation, look, I'll be honest with you guys. I was looking at the game notes ahead of tonight, and the leading scorers for Colorado, it's, Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, he's leading defenseman in points. And then, Lehkonen's up there in points, but the drop-off between the producers that were MacKinnon, Makar, and formerly Rantanen was really observable in looking at the game notes tonight. And this is where there's just opportunity then for players like Lehkonen, who I think in just the quick shift of moving up to the top line, had a lot of great answers for whatever MacKinnon is doing tonight. He is playing like a crazy person, and I really appreciate it. Blackwood's coming up with the saves that he needs to keep the minute, but I think the team rewarded his great saves in the first period in particular with stronger team play going into the second period. All right, let's see. Yeah, we're talking about the depth. Briggsy's talking about Ivan back in Loveland. I think at the start of this, there was concern around Malinsky. I do think his game is made better with DeHaan, but I don't think he's having the on-ice impact that he did last year, for example. Malinsky came from the NCAA to the American League, gets into the NHL, maybe a path quicker to the NHL than defensemen usually see unless they're Cale Makar, right? But he finds a way to immediately produce at the NHL level, which is pretty impressive for the position because outside of Cale Makar, who was a total anomaly, the college to pro pipeline, it is very difficult to get that aspect of your game to translate. And the fact that Malinsky did last year, another example of setting a standard then for himself that he has to exceed. And so I think that's still the part of Malinsky's game that's missing and making him viewed as this quiet player. Like, I don't think the defensive errors are seeping into his game quite the way that I thought they did in New York. To be honest, I didn't think that was Malinsky's best game alongside Middleton. And so I do think DeHaan is a player that stabilizes both of them as a pairing, but I still want to see the Malinsky of last year who was able to translate that scoring touch a little bit better and be more of a threat two ways, right? And allow this puck-moving side of Colorado's game to thrive because right now they're dominating possession. And so I do want to see the back end really enter this conversation. All right, let's see some of the comments. Manson had some really nice zone entries too. You know, when Manson is at his best, it's the transition game too. It's not only what he can do, because he has the puck skill, I think, that maybe doesn't always get appreciated to help move the puck in the offensive zone. But past that, he can defend his blue line well and help the overall transition game, moving the puck north with responsible decisions. That requires some support from the back checkers as well through the neutral zone and defending any chances against to stop play at the blue line and move that back north. And Manson is a player that I think does the transition or the breakout game well when he's on. It's a mental thing too, though. So when he's not on mentally, I think that's where you see easier entries, easier access through the Avs defensive blue line that can lead to some other results that we don't like to see. But when he's on, he can be more of an offensive threat. And it's something that I really like about Josh Manson. Does anyone think Val comes back and stays back from Hurricane Teabag? Like, let's be honest. It's such a tough one, right? Because the reasons for Val missing time have been the player assistance program reasons, and they've been injury reasons. And when you play hockey the way that Val Nichushkin does, the injury reasons are pretty fair and easy to expect. And I like that they're taking time with his healing process while he recovers from this injury here. But they're really banking on it, because in moving on from a player like Rantanen and of that caliber, you're looking to the next man up who can play in a top 15 NHL around the league capacity, and that is Val Nichushkin. They're going to need him to be everything that we know him to be when the record with him in the lineup is what it is for a reason. All right, this is fun. Brandon Cormier, I know it will never happen and it doesn't make sense, but what if they ever put Makar on as a forward? He just has the mind of a forward, right? It's like an extra forward on the ice when Makar is playing. I love that his defensive game has taken another level this year too. And so he is still truly one of the best defensemen in the game. I don't like people to downplay his overall game because the offensive results are there and suggest that that is a side of his game that takes a back seat. I think he's strong in both ends. I'm glad to see that the Avs haven't had to kill any penalties tonight, because he's such an important special teams player in both ways. I like that they've played a disciplined game, especially because the physicality has been there throughout at least 2 periods now, but this is still a tie game. So let's bring it back to the game at hand, and I'll begin winding this down before the third period, where the Avs are looking to score at least one more to put this game to bed. But the New York Islanders are going to have a say in it. It has not been easy to beat Sorokin. I kind of addressed the lane management on behalf of New York at the top, defending the slot and middle ice pretty well. Avs are doing things to work around this, though, and I think the energy is in their favor right now. I got the top line contribution like I wanted to see, and honestly, I don't think Nathan MacKinnon's done, so it's not like, all right, and on to the depth. I think Nathan MacKinnon wants to have more of a footprint on this game, so I won't be the one to stop him, but because I've liked the Colton Wood Drury line, I'm still advocating banging the table for some depth. But above all else, support your goaltender, who has continued to have a good night in net and has been a trusted gap stop, keeping you in games throughout this road trip so that you could close it out on a high note. There's 20 more minutes left for the Avs to make that decision, and we'll be back with a post game. I'm not sure exactly how it will look, but Jesse Montano will call in live from the arena in addition to getting some post game locker room interviews and the coach's presser. I'm Meghan Angley, and I will see you guys in a little bit.